Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Phyllis. That was just beautiful. It's a beautiful day here in Bloomington. And please stand and join us and join together in singing the first Noel. And for those of you who'd like to use the hymnal, in case you want to sing a little harmony, that's on page 260.
Seven. Thank you.
On a cold winter's welcome. What a way to welcome this Advent season. You guys do such a good job. And thank you to all the congregation. Well, I'm here today to welcome you to Unity. And my name, if you don't know it, is Patty. And I'm graciously acting as your service leader. We welcome all who are present for this service, regardless of location. Spirit is living everywhere. Let's start by saying our statement of being. We are Unity of Bloomington. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our faith is oneness. We provide inspiration, tools, and practices that support people on their path of spiritual growth. Today, as I said before, we enter the Advent season. Advent, the 4 weeks before Christmas, begins today. We enter the season with today's daily word. If you're not familiar, which everyone in worldwide unity is, we enter this season today's daily word and the Advent response, and then we'll have an Advent responsive reading and a hymn. This is the daily word. When sharing the daily word, we are sharing with the whole Unity movement worldwide. Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen my faith. Can we all say that? Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen my faith. As the Advent season begins, we say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into our thinking, dimming our hope and weighing on our minds and hearts. Today we say yes to goodness. Yes to goodness. Today we say yes to positivity. Yes to positivity. By saying yes, we feel a sense of hope dawning within us. Yes to hope. Today we have a promise that something wonderful is on our way. In these moments, we feel our faith reborn. We affirm our belief that no earthly condition, no worldly circumstance is greater than the Spirit. This is where we place our faith in power, the presence, the love, and grace of God. We call upon these divine attributes within each of us. We now perceive them more readily in others. We grow in faith so that together we have the power to create the worlds of our highest imagination. Just think of that, our highest imagination. Hope dawns within us and leads us to deepen our faith. Now I am going to have a responsive reading with you, which means I will lead and you will respond. For this holy feast of hope and great expectation, let us power your imaginations and cast blessings on all events of the days ahead. We dedicate ourselves as channels for the coming of grace and truth, the truth of Christ upon the earth. We ask God's blessing in our homes. We invite the prospering activity of the Holy Spirit to bless our homes with warmth, order, and love. We ask God's blessing for the children, for their dreams, their hopes, their joy. We bless our children and behold in them the pure joy and beauty of Christ's love. We ask the blessings of divine graciousness on the Christmas tree and every revered symbol of the holy season. Divine love graciously and lavishly supplies the beauty of Christmas. We ask the spirit of guidance to aid in the selection of gifts we purchase and prepare to give. Divine intelligence guides us in the giving and receiving of gifts. We give lovingly and receive graciously. We ask the Spirit of life to bless the preparation of the holiday food. Divine love blesses the hand that prepares every sweet morsel and fills every receiver with delight and well-being. We ask God's presence at parties and gatherings of friends and families. Divine love brings harmony, enjoyment, and healing love wherever two or more are gathered in his name this holy season. We ask the peace of Christ to manifest in the world this Christmas. The Christ of peace expresses from every human heart, and the earth rejoices in the spirit of brotherhood and our oneness with God. The lights of Christmas symbolize our illuminated hearts. We have joined together to prepare for the coming of Christ. We open our hearts and our minds in this reality. Let the Christ be born in us this day. Accept our thankful heart of loving. And now I believe I sit down and Reverend Nate comes up. I've got one more thing. Oh, we're all going to sing it. O come, Emmanuel.
don't think I'm on. Am I on now? Nope, I'm muted. Now I am. Good. We'll get this. That is a beautiful hymn, words written over 1,000 years ago. Inviting the presence of the Christ, inviting the birth of the Messiah. That's what we celebrate at Christmas. And we talk about that and we sing about that for 4 weeks before Christmas, the Advent season. Traditionally, it's about hope, love, peace, and joy. And an Advent wreath is often part of that preparation time. We have an Advent wreath up here. Traditionally, there's the 3 purple candles and a red one or a pink one. There's a lot of different stories going on about that. Oh, let me get a match here. I'm going to light some candles this morning. Traditionally, Advent is about preparing for the birth of Christ, preparing ourselves to celebrate and to enter into the mystery and the miracle of the birth of Jesus. We make a very important distinction between the Christ and Jesus. So traditionally, you light a candle every week, and on Christmas Eve, you light the center candle, the light of the Christ. It's supposed to represent the birth of the Christ. It represents the birth of Jesus. The Christ is the Spirit of God, the idea in the mind of God for each one of us. The Christ is the presence of God in all of creation, in every one of us. The Christ is always there. And so, we keep a Christ candle burning all the time. It never goes out. It is always present. We are the ones that aren't quite here and now in connection with the Christ. And so we're talking about the birth of Jesus, and we're talking about the growing awareness of that presence of God, of that Christ within us. So we carefully make that distinction. I'm using these 4 different candles to describe 4 different paths to the consciousness of the Christ. The Christmas story, we sang many elements of the story already. Christmas story, the nativity scene, really points to 4 different ways of coming into the awareness of the Christ within, of the Christ energy, the energy of light and love and wisdom in the earth, in our community, in our lives. 4 different spiritual traditions that each one of us has within us. So, we're going to start with the path of the heart, the path of emotion, of feeling, of devotion, gratitude, praise, faith. That's the first path. So, I have been told that you have a tradition of an Advent to have different families come up and light the Advent candles. And so I'm going to invite Jonna and Roy to come up and light the first one of the purple ones. Okay, try a different one. Okay, try a different one. Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, each one of us participates in this journey. This journey, this story, this nativity scene is about each one of us. It's about gathering together in a wholeness of different ways of climbing the mountain of spirituality. And there's an old thing that there are many paths up the mountain, but we all come to the same place. Well, we're talking about coming to the place of mystery and new birth and the celebration of awareness of what that Christ of God can do in us, for us, through us. I came to Unity as a yogi. I started my spiritual path with doing some yoga exercises, and then the relaxation at the end was like, wow. And then the meditation was like, it was an awakening to spirituality. And so I got involved with yoga. And one of the things I learned in that journey is yoga means union, coming together of what had seemed to be separate to create a union. And there are different ways. And my teacher said, there are 4 different kinds of yoga. There are more than 4. But he said there's bhakti yoga, devotion, chanting, praising to God, singing the name of God. And we did that a lot, chanting. There's Raja Yoga, the royal yoga, the yoga of meditation, of inner awareness. It's the yoga of mysticism and mystery. There's a yoga of knowledge. It's called jnana yoga. That's the yoga, that's the path of philosophy and theology of the mind. Kind of like what we're part of that path. And then there's a 4th path, which is they call karma yoga. Sometimes they call it dharma. It's the path of duty, of responsibility, of personal calling and purpose in life, of doing what is ours to do. That's the path of action, of living it. That path of action, that path of the body, of living it, is represented by animals in the nativity scene. It's represented by the stable, about being in the earth, and we'll talk about the innkeeper represents that. The path of the mind is represented by the 3 wise ones, the scientists of their day. The shepherds represent the path of staying awake and conscious in the darkness, like meditation. And Joseph and Mary represent the path of devotion, emotion, and faith. Every one of these is within us. Every element is more or less active. And so I'd like you today to consider, what's this mean to me? What does this show about me? Today we're going to talk about Joseph and Mary. we're going to talk about the path of devotion. They're all yours. So, the Christmas story is only in 2 of the Gospels, and it's only a couple paragraphs long. I mean, we sing the songs that makes it sound like there's a huge amount in here. Well, there's just a little bit. Matthew starts off by saying, an angel came to Mary. Mary served in the temple. Mary represents devotion, an open-hearted approach to the divine. She had a direct experience where an angel said, "You're going to give birth." How could that happen? "I'm a virgin." He said, "Well, don't worry about it. It's going to happen." She worried about it. She held it in her heart, she said. She didn't know what to think about it, but she held it in her heart. Sometimes we don't know what to think about things. We hold it in our hearts and trust that things will unfold. Trusting is this path of the heart. Scholars have pointed out that lots of different significant people have been born miraculously. So the miracle birth stories are present all over the world. She may not have been a virgin, but the fact isn't what's important. It's what it points to, that the sense of purity and devotion gives birth to a consciousness of infinite love and wisdom. So, and then Matthew's story goes on, talks about the wise men. It doesn't mention much about Joseph, except Joseph had a dream where an angel said to him, Mary's pregnant. Don't worry about it. Just have faith. Joseph woke up and said, and found out she was pregnant. He was going to divorce her. He had the dream, and he stayed with it. He didn't understand it. He couldn't explain it to all of the guys down at the camel corral. He couldn't explain it. The mind didn't work, but he knew in his heart, that's faith. There are things that we know that we can't explain. That's the path of the heart. Joseph's faith, Mary's devotion, they pointed something that we have within ourselves, the heart path. In humanity's spiritual traditions, the heart path is the wide path up the mountain. It's the primary entryway into the spiritual path. They have the primary practices through different denominations within Christianity, through different parts of different spiritual traditions. The path of the heart is the path that most people begin with. Now, not everyone stays with it, but it's inviting. It feels good. We're going to look at some of those elements of that path. We're going to look at some of the paths that other denominations take, some of the things within unity that are the paths of the heart. And I'm going to invite you to think about what are the elements in your heart that move you closer to the light, to the love, to the life of the divine. I'm going to sing some Christmas carols and talk about some Christmas carols. And so, one of the things on the heart's path is, what does this mean? What's happening? Questioning. That's a heart thing. So we're going to sing a song now that is kind of a heart-opening one. What child is this? What does this mean? Let's join together in this. You notice how singing a familiar Christmas carol brings up feelings, moves us out of thinking, perhaps. That's one of the practices of the heart path. In yoga, they call it bhakti, devotional singing and chanting. I can tell you about it, but instead, let's just go back one slide and take, the babe, the Son of Mary. The babe, the Son of Mary. Let's sing that a couple times. The babe, the Son of Mary. Again. The babe, the Son of Mary. More. The babe, the Son of Mary. Again and again. The babe, the Son of Mary. One more. The babe, the Son of Mary. Imagine doing that for another 5 minutes.